Let's go already. Hello, friends.
Hello,
Welcome back. Welcome back to another high-minded conversation where we, Chris Angel and Aaron Hendon, talk about mindful CEO-ness.
CEOsity. I think we're
C-
rebranding for 2026.
no, not another rebrand. We can't do
Another
another
rebrand,
one.
CEOsity,
Not another rebrand. Uh,
CEOsity,
I hope,
CEOsity.
I hope all of your New Year's have started off wonderfully. Aaron and I were just having a great conversation like we do in the green room
As
around
as one does.
well I said this was after we had already said some stuff, and then I said some stuff about I don't usually do a word for the year, but I do have an intention for stability this year,
Mm.
and underneath that is a phrase that just keeps repeating itself for me. I can't shake it, and it's let's just call it my spirit guides, my team.
Ooh,
Someone is encouraging me with this constant thought of like, let go, let go, let go. And so I say that to all of you at the beginning of a year, because you may have intentions and may have themes, um and it's often for me at the beginning of the year, or really 365 days a year, where I'm trying to control things. I'm really trying to be like figuring it out. Most of my adult life in business has been trying to figure it out, because to not figure it out, to just let go like Michael Singer would and let the invisible hand provide, is a stupid strategy. That makes no sense. I can't recreate those results. I can't go back and be like, how show your math. How did you get your answer? Like, I don't
right.
know. I just threw my hands up and I'm like, I meditate, I ask my spirit team to help me out. Like that's stupid. That sounds terrible. And yet, and yet, this we've talked about this many episodes, but this is where we sort of find ourselves in the middle of mindfulness and CEO ness.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds. Yeah, it sounds irreproducible, non-reproducible, like luck, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but it only occurs like luck from the outside looking in.
Sure.
you know, and this then wandered into a conversation for having power with uncertainty
Yeah,
because that's life's uncertain, right? And
yeah.
that's the foundation of all mindful practices and Buddhism and anything having to do with this is that life is changing, constantly changing, and it is uncertain in the direction it's going to change. And it's not possible to discern the future in any meaningful way.
Right.
And it's our constant innate need for certainty that drives the pattern recognition machine that our brain is, that
Mm.
is constantly ordering the chaos around us into usable bits.
Yeah.
And thank God it does. But that if we let it do that and pretend we're not the ones ordering it,
Mm.
we get trapped. We start pretending that's the way things are versus that's the way, or that's the order I've put to it.
Right.
That's the way I collected this data and I've assembled it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And even, for the scientists, a true scientist would say this is the way things are for now.
Mm.
Given this set of data,
Yeah.
this is an order that makes sense. But if there's new data, we're going to need to do something else. Or if any of this data changes, and nothing's absolute,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Things change all the time.
Yeah.
So trusting the science really means approaching life with a sense of wonder
Mm. Mm.
and curiosity and a willingness to disprove every single thing you believe.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to disprove every single thing you believe, you don't believe in the science.
Yeah. Which speaks to the craving for certainty, because like I'm not here to disprove anything. I'm here to to live from certainty. If I
Completely. And that's
like,
that, and that's the way our brain is wired, is for
yeah.
confirmation bias. We look for evidence that proves what we already know.
Yeah.
Because what we already know hasn't killed us yet.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
therefore it's safe. The brain is glomming on to that because
Yeah.
anything new has the potential to kill us.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
not looking for evidence that things aren't the way
Yeah.
it seems.
that's, from a broad stroke, that's, I get the reference to back to caveman, something's going to kill us. But in a modern day business scenario, for 20 years of my adult life in business, it's not as existential as killing me, but it is definitely existential. And like, I don't know how I'm going to provide for myself and my family. I don't know where the next paycheck's coming from. And so I spent a lifetime now, being a good student, reading the books, going to the classes, paying for coaches so that I could have systems, right? The systems of things started to feel like my safety net. Like, oh God, like, systems are my certainty.
Yeah.
And yet, those didn't even necessarily produce the results. Like,
Well, I mean, it's our parents' generation. I mean, we're already old and parents of adults, but
yeah,
our
yeah,
parents' generation, the having a job
yeah,
was a source of stability.
yeah,
And being an entrepreneur, not so much.
yeah,
But
right.
all you need to do is get fired once, and you know that having a job is
Mm-hmm.
way less stable
Mm,
than being an entrepreneur because, as at least an entrepreneur, you can see shit coming. You have complete say about it. You're not getting fired
right.
ever. You may
Yeah,
lose a gig, you may lose a piece of the work, but it's your business.
yeah,
It's a different definition of stability.
right, right.
And the opportunity to develop. So this whole thing ran into this. So I'm going to share this quote. Um, let's see if I can find it again. We'll come back to Mike McDonald here in a second. Yeah. So this is the quote. This is from James Clear, author of Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
And if you don't have his newsletter, I highly recommend it. It's a great weekly newsletter. It's usually one quote from him, three quotes from someone else, and then one thought to ponder.
mm,
It's just really well done. It's really well done. And last week, this was the quote from him. The ultimate form of preparation is not planning for a specific scenario, but a mindset that can handle uncertainty. And that, frankly, is why we meditate.
mm,
I mean, I don't think there's a better, more practical. I mean, there's esoteric reasons to meditate,
sure.
but I don't think there's a more practical definition of why we meditate than to develop a mindset that can handle uncertainty. Normally, we just talk about it having a mindset that's flexible enough to handle life, but life is uncertain. That's the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So you are preparing. You don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your preparation. So if you're freaked out all the time, or worried all the time, or upset all the time, or upset waiting to happen, you just haven't done the mental preparation
Yeah.
to handle that level of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that I think is just fascinating. And then, of course, I always look for real world applications for it. And as luck would have it,
Yeah.
I was listening to the Mike McDonald press conference. And for those of you that don't follow the Seattle Seahawks, fuck you. But it, Mike McDonald is the head coach of the Super Bowl bound Seattle Seahawks, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, but he was talking and he was giving a press conference, and I'm into it enough to watch press conferences. Uh, and he said this, and I just thought this was just so right on. I did a double take. I heard him say it, and then I had to go look up the YouTube video where I to see if I heard it right. And this, what happened? Where'd you
They were
go?
really like, I don't know, it's kind of a hard ass. Like just go play high level football and give us play fast, play decisive. Um, this is kind of like a tangent, but like we just don't believe in like just running the card and then like throw to where the route is circled or like defensively like fight on this route or like
For those of you that don't follow football, you head coaches stand there with a card, and they have a card of plays,
Yeah.
offensive and defensive plays. that he's calling. The head coach or the coordinator is calling, run this route, do these things, right? And what he's saying is we don't believe in just doing that. We don't
Right.
believe in just following the script.
Yeah.
Like, give me the. It's like, no, let's go play great Seahawk football. Go play fast. Let our guys go react in real time, make calls, and we'll try to give the best looks we can in some of those scouted looks. But at the end of the day, like, you can't. There's a spot for getting like the perfect picture and stuff, but um, I don't know. We don't. We just can't. We'd rather just go play great football and sharp each other that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just everything. That's the real world application of it, as much as you want to pretend football is the real world. But
Yeah.
that's the application. We don't believe in what we believe in is you play great football. You prepare, you
Yep.
get as good a scouting look as you can get.
Yep.
You have an idea of the direction you want to go. And then he's always talking about, you know, the plays he calls are based on the way the game has declared itself, which is always a mix of how both teams come together and the other head coach on the other side gets paid to do, to beat
Yeah.
you. So
You could
the game's going to declare itself a particular way and you get to dance to that.
you could say the same about your next client meeting or tomorrow, the next day you wake up to, like, how is this day going to declare itself? How does this meeting with my client going to declare itself? That yeah, and I've always liked that thought, that preparation. It's not like bury your head in the sand and then just hope and pray that everything works out. There's preparation. Yeah, of course, prepare. But your preparation, to that James Clear quote, that your preparation is the thing that helps you deal with uncertainty, not run the play exactly as the card
Yes.
says to run the play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not a movie. It's not a play. You don't learn the script
Right.
because the other people around you don't have the script.
Right.
It's always, I think that makes me crazy when I'm training realtors, is new agents are going to be hung up on the script.
Uh-huh.
And it's important it's not unimportant to practice conversations.
Right.
It's, and the point of learning the script is so that you can forget it and then just dance. You have enough
Yeah,
confidence
that's right.
that you can dance with what's happening. But you can only ever know for certain, and even then, maybe not, but it's the closest you can come to being certain is your opening line.
Right before anything happens. Yeah, you're
Yeah, well, the thing that makes something happen.
there. You go.
You have a say about that. The rest of it, how that line is heard, how they respond, what's happening when they respond, the whole thing is unknown and unknowable.
Right.
And so you can spend time worrying about that, or you can spend time preparing to deal with it. You can't do both. You can't be
Yeah.
both worried about it and preparing for it.
Right.
Right? You
Yeah.
can, which brings me back to the very first thing that I shared about this little incident I had with worry. So
Yeah.
I how come I've written my book and do the course and everything is because I had a breakthrough and stopped worrying. So for those of you that don't know, I have a book, How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World, coming out in a few months. And in it I share about how as a born and bred New York Jew, I I grew up in a culture where things are never so bad they can't get worse.
Hmm.
That was our family creed, right? Things are never so bad they can't get worse. And um, after practicing mindfulness meditation for 4 or 5 months, getting trained to be a instructor, I stopped worrying, which is
Hmm.
something that I did not was not even in the realm of possibility. It just was gone for me, like the Imperial Death March of the other shoe dropping. that I carried with me for 62 years or 60 years, however long ago it was,
Wow.
just disappeared. I was
Wow.
like, wow, this is fucking cool, right? And that's why I wrote the book and why I teach the class, because I thought other people should get this and it'd be worthwhile for them to get it. And the other, and it rarely, I mean, there are things that happen that I worry about. It's not like, you know, I'm not a zombie. I'm not dead, but I don't get obsessed about things. I don't spiral. I
Yeah.
don't just, it's not just always there. And then this weekend, something happened where it came back in a way that I was it was familiar, but it's been gone for a while. So it was new. I buy cheap tickets to airport, I buy the saver fares when I can,
Uh-huh.
which means my seats don't get assigned to the airport. And I wind up in a middle seat sometimes, but I save whatever, 20% of this ticket price or whatever. It's worth it to me. And uh but this I was in LA on this weekend and flying back Saturday night so I could go to the NFC Championship game, see the Seahawks, which again, fuck you if that doesn't matter to you. Um uh but I was gonna take my kids and it was a big deal. Right? I
Right.
needed to get back. This was not an okay, normally I'm like, well, if I get bumped or whatever, it's not a big deal. I don't really run a life where can't, I'm not that flexible.
Right.
But this time I was not that flexible. And when I checked in, it said seat assigned at the gate, which it hasn't said in a while. I guess it used to say it, and then, there's flights have been empty enough that I could pick a seat or that it would have assigned me a seat already. I never get to
Right.
pick a
Right.
seat. But this time it didn't. And that started me spiraling. That started me like, well, what if I get there and they don't have a seat for me? What do you mean the seat's assigned at the gate? That's not the way.
Mm.
So I was like, and I noticed started getting really agitated, really worried. And I, so I stopped and I called and the lady said, yeah, I see your sign. You're paid and confirmed on that flight, but you're not checked in and you can't check in until you get to the gate. You talk to a gate agent where they'll assign your seat. I thought this is making me really nervous
Mm. Right.
about this. And there was no particular reason for it to, because it's the way the thing is designed to go. And she said I'm confirmed on the flight. And and I even called back one more time in the morning. And then she said, look, it's really rare that people get bumped. So it's not your thing. Um, but I noticed that the preparation that I've been doing, my daily meditation, my
Mm.
practice,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
didn't stop the thing from bubbling up.
Right.
But what it did do was rather than it being a loop, a
Yep.
continuous spiral,
Yeah.
either a loop that stayed static or a spiral that went way down, right, which is where I used to go.
Yeah.
I noticed it was a repetitive series of individual thoughts. Like the thought could come up and I didn't have to stop the thought.
Mm.
And it needed to change in any way. It could just be there as a thought, like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a thought,
Right.
you know, that's a possible thought to have about worrying about this. Is there anything I can do about it? No, there's not. Okay, well, how do my feet feel on the floor? And what does my butt feel like in the chair?
Yeah.
And what else is in front of me? And it showed up as a discrete set of thoughts. And the less I resisted the thoughts and the more I just let them be just thoughts,
Yeah.
the more they let me be. I don't know. It was a really, really wild experience. It wasn't that I wasn't worried. I got to the airport 2 hours early and I did
Uh-huh.
all the things. And I think that's an important point, Chris, that you made about still doing all the things.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah. You still played the game. You still showed up. You still ran the play. You still did what there was to do. But
yeah, it's not just like, oh, I let the guiding hand carry me.
right.
Right. Like Christine said, you want to go get dinner first because we have 3 hours before the flight.
All right.
And I said, no, I don't. I'd rather get to the airport.
Yeah.
And um, and it got me thinking too, like had when I bought the tickets, there was very little chance that this scenario would happen, that the
Right.
Seahawks
Right.
would be in the playoffs and that they would have home field advantage and that I would have a ticket to the game. All that stuff was like not
Mm.
a thing, you know, when I bought the tickets. But had it been a thing, had I
Yeah.
known about it, I probably would have paid extra
Yeah.
for the peace of
Right.
mind.
Right. Right.
Um, but you know,
Interesting
because it's
too how you were able to declare, that day declared itself
yes,
just like a game declares, and you were flexible, pliable enough to be present to what needs to happen next without having to control it or worry
yeah,
about it.
right. I didn't leave the weekend early. I mean, I could definitely see a world in which 5 years ago I
Mm-hmm.
would have missed the whole day just
Yeah.
obsessing
Yeah.
over this thing. In fact, there would have been a little bit of a badge of honor about
Mm.
how worried I am,
Oh, interesting.
you know,
Yeah,
like we
interesting.
wear how busy we are as a badge of honor.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to wear how frantically I worried as a
Mm.
somewhat, you know, boast.
Do you think if Aaron then 5 years ago and Aaron this time had some medical device hooked up that could have measured cortisol, like, like I'm just thinking, like, there's a real physical benefit to having mindful, like, the stress hormones surging through your body 5 years ago would have affected you in ways that cortisol did not affect you this time.
Totally, totally, totally. It was a whole different experience. And it wasn't that the thought didn't keep coming up.
Right, right, right.
Like that, the
Mm-hmm.
that's the weather. It's uncontrollable. It's not something I have a say about. We do not have a say about the
Yeah,
thoughts that arise in our heads.
yeah.
That's like worrying about the weather. You cannot do anything about that.
Right.
But you don't have to do anything about that.
Mm.
There's nothing you if what you do is you put on a raincoat.
Yeah.
If it's raining, you put on a raincoat. If you live anywhere but Seattle, you get an umbrella,
Uh-huh. Right.
right? You just deal with the weather and you just deal with the weather inside your head. What's the weather? I'm upset. Okay. Well, let's, do something. You
Uh-huh.
know, you
Yeah.
can, all right, good. So then sit and meditate a little bit longer or go get a cup of chamomile tea or, you know,
Right, right.
go eat a gummy. I don't know, do something. I self-medicated this last trip to New Mexico and I've never done that before. But I normally get very, very stressed in being with my in-laws and
Yeah.
my wife's whole side of the family. It's stressful for me. Their relations, I have all sorts of judgments and assessments and opinions about,
Yeah.
and I love them all dearly. It's not a lack of love. It's just how they operate in some ways is triggering for me in some ways. And
Yeah.
I don't like who I become
Mm.
when I'm with them.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then this trip, I found some federally legal gummies, which is nice. And, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I drink coffee
Yeah.
to manage my mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I drink coffee, and if I don't have coffee, that chemical enhancement is missed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I medicate regularly or daily
Huh. Yeah,
with
right, right.
caffeine,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I could probably put enough of a space between me and that concern by just medicating. And I did. It was great. It's fantastic. It's like, oh, there was a whole not my circus, not my monkeys vibe about the whole thing. And I could just chill with my family
Yeah.
and not have it be a thing. But we dance appropriate to how it presents itself. And
Right. Yeah.
and I'm not trying to make them do anything that they don't want to do. I'm not here to tell anyone else how to live their life,
Right.
but I don't have to get triggered by it.
Mm.
So you do
Yeah.
what you do. And I think
Yeah.
coffee is great. I think coffee is a particularly interesting um, chemical enhancement. I'm pretty sure I shared this, but when I got done with my 10-day Vipassana
Yeah.
last year, one of the things that I loved was that there was coffee available
Hmm.
at the retreat. It's a
Uh-huh.
vegetarian, all clean food, really nice, is great. But in every retreat setting that I go to, caffeine,
Mm.
whoever the spokesperson for caffeine has been for all these years, is always available. People do not take that chemical enhancement lightly. They,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You don't try and stop. You can't smoke
Yeah. Yeah.
on the property, and smoking has become like a, taboo in this country,
Right.
that you
Right.
don't use nicotine that way publicly
Yeah.
in that form. But caffeine, even the most mindful communities
Right.
acknowledge there's
That's
less
funny.
bloodshed when people have their coffee in the morning.
Yeah, man. Well, Seahawks and Gatorade or whatever, you need your electrolytes. You need some
That's right.
enhancements somewhere.
Yeah.
No matter how you dance in the declaration of the game, there's always
Right.
room for electrolytes and caffeine.
Right.
I was going to title this episode something like Preparation Assists Uncertainty. Preparation assists uncertainty. And I think, whether it's you're on an airplane trip or you're looking for your next, client and as a business, whatever the case, or you're at your in-laws. I mean, whatever the uncertainty may be, there is a place for preparation that mindfulness, the practices of mindfulness really serve. And I can, as much as I started the call saying like for 20 years I've been trying to control my life and my business, but there's a lot of work that's happened for me inside of mindfulness and reframing my day and finding the places where I can let the thought just be there without having to have it control me. And um I'm very aware of that. And I think what you and I are doing in this conversation, what we're doing in our mastermind, what you're doing through your book and your 9-week course is a lot of just providing the conversation and the spaces for people to prepare for uncertainty, prepare.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's good.
And I think preparing for uncertainty is uh, what did Jeff call it this weekend? The mental flexibility, the
Yeah.
mental agility,
Yeah.
right? I, I think of the Voltaire quote that uncertainty is an uncomfortable proposition, but certainty is an absurd one. And I think that's
Yeah.
everything.
Wow.
That, and even any
Mm.
anxiety, yeah, let's just stay with anxiety that we feel
Yeah.
is our innate
Mm.
search for certainty.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
We're constantly seeking certainty in a world that will never
Yeah.
be certain. And the
Yeah.
ability to have faith that you
Ah,
are
yeah.
developed enough
Right.
to handle whatever life throws is a big deal. And that's really where faith is. We're talking about faith in my insight community recently, and not the religious context for faith. I know faith as a word is
Yeah.
laden with religion. Um, but I mean the ability to have hope, the
Yeah.
ability to trust,
Yeah.
and we have faith that the sun will come up. We've seen it enough, but it doesn't mean it's coming up tomorrow in reality. Our faith doesn't bring the sun up,
Yeah. Right.
but there's enough of a pattern that we trust that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
we practice, so that
Mm.
we expand our faith in our own capacities, our own abilities to perform under any circumstance.
Yeah. There, this conversation reminded me, I think it was a year or two, probably 2 years ago, I was reading a book from Jim Collins, which shocker, surprise, I know. I love Jim
Can't believe it.
Collins. I know. The book is called Great by Choice. Great by Choice. And in this book, he talks about what made his comparison, the Great by Choice companies different than comparison companies. Wasn't that they had more luck than or less bad luck, but that these companies that were great by choice knew what to do when the luck showed up. Preparation, right? Like they had prepared enough that when the luck showed up or when the bad luck showed up, they were prepared and could respond to the declaration of the situation. And that's what made them great by choice. So when luck showed up, they could leverage it because they had prepared. Or when
Mm.
bad luck showed up, they could minimize it because they had prepared, compared to the other companies who didn't. When good luck showed up and bad luck showed up, they were not prepared, and the luck and bad luck pushed them. They missed the opportunity. Is the point,
Mm.
because they were not prepared. That would be a great. That'd be a great. By the way, and side note on that one, also Gary Keller years ago in his Mindful CEO, not Mindful, that's our podcast. What's Think Like a CEO, Think Like a CEO podcast talked about luck, which I thought was fascinating because here's a guy who built something and talks about systems all the time, but he's like, to say that luck doesn't play a role is not true. Like, and I think that's interesting because we're sort of blending some worlds of preparation and also acknowledging that there is stuff that is uncertain that you don't have control over, and sometimes it will occur lucky. And
Well,
yeah,
luck
yeah,
is just the word that we use to label the uncertainty in some way.
yeah,
And then we label it good or bad.
right,
But it's either way, it's luck. It's
yeah,
a random occurrence. It's an occurrence, and you and I
yeah,
have definitely talked about the one of the benefits of meditation is that it allows you to if action's the only thing that produces results,
yeah,
which we're flat about, we're clear,
yeah,
right? And you only act on what you see to act on. You never act on anything you don't see to act on,
yeah,
right? That's just the way that works. You're always acting on what you see. So for you to change your highest leverage point to change your actions is to change what you see.
yeah,
And meditation allows you to change what you see, allows
mm,
you to see opportunities that you wouldn't have
yeah,
otherwise seen.
yeah,
So you act in ways that you wouldn't otherwise have acted, and you produce results that you wouldn't have otherwise produced. But meditation allows you to calm the noise down so you can see what you
hmm,
couldn't see when you were agitated, when you were wrapped
right,
around the axle of this or that. So in that way, you're making your own luck because you're looking to see things that
mm,
that you weren't otherwise seeing.
yeah, that's good.
And that's the way I think that preparation part works, is that's why meditation is a critical part of preparation.
Yeah,
That why 80% of the world's high performers have a mindfulness practice is because it works as a way of preparing for what is inevitably going to be a random set of events. There's going to be luck involved in everything. I mean,
yeah,
the fact that you were born is a one in whatever, however many billion chance, right?
yeah,
When you were
yeah,
born where you were born, with what you have, with what you don't have, that you have the physical capacity, all of that was,
yeah,
a string of events, which is why we can experience gratitude as a connected web.
mm, hmm,
Be grateful for anything, and there's an infinite number of things that you're grateful for
right,
because you can trace that luck backwards
mm, right, yeah,
to all the different ways to that, the great 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 grandparents of the Ethiopian goat herder that discovered the
yeah,
benefits of coffee.
yeah. That's just side note that sparked that thought for me about right now. There's a lot happening in the world, and I was talking to somebody this weekend, and they just were really discouraged. They were just really upset and having a hard time finding something to be grateful for. Like it was just really hard to be like,
Mhm.
what I want to do right now is feel grateful for something, and yet you could tell that they were very affected by current events, and I think this speaks to your book, how to live a grateful life in a fucked up world, that at any moment you could find gratitude in the fact that you are here, and all the things that, if you trace it back to the infinite things that had that happen, it doesn't diminish what's happening in current events. And it allows you to see what we're just saying. We're like, see more of the field, see more of what's happening here. There are other things to see that can give you a place where cortisol isn't flooding your system. The thoughts are there.
Mhm.
Yep. The current events are there, but you're able to find some agency in how you choose to show up and respond, or what you choose in a moment, rather than being given by the circumstance. Rather than the circumstance choosing for you how you are, you get to show up with some agency because your preparation.
You've developed the mental agility to be potent with whatever
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, let's put a pin in that.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
Let's put a pin right in
Absolutely.
that fucking thing.
Yes. Those of you listening who have not yet, I don't know what you're doing. If you haven't yet taken Aaron's 9 week course, like what the hell?
What
When
the
is your
fuck's wrong
next?
with you?
Like, is it now just all on demand, or how are you doing it now?
No, if you can get an on-demand version of it at therealtorsedge.com,
Okay,
and that's self-paced and all the materials are there, and you could definitely find that.
and it's
Um,
free.
and that's free.
Okay,
Or you could do the
realtorsedge.com.
next live cohort, which would be 6, 7, 8, 9. It'll be mid-April. Uh, yeah, it'll be mid-April, probably. I don't know, maybe mid-May if I take a short break.
It's okay. So keep your eyes open. You're posting those cohorts where when people want to sign up for
Uh,
those.
uh, the
Grateful
Grateful
Breath.
Breath, yeah, the
Okay.
gratefulbreath.com has the live cohort
Okay.
link, although I got to take it, I got to update it
Okay.
because I don't have a next date.
So if you're
Um,
listening to this in April or May, check the website, right? If you're listening to it now, just know the date's coming, but April or May, start planning, set your calendar up. Yeah, so
you can
that you
also
can
go
be.
to aaronhinden.com and subscribe, and then you'll be on my mail list.
Oh, good. All right. Perfect. That's great. Love it. All right, friends. Well, thanks for hanging out with us here. If you've never left us a review on our podcast,
What the
hey, why
fuck?
don't you do that? Pay that forward. Pay that shit forward. Let's go. You're welcome. We show up every week in service of a mindful world, and we appreciate your patronage. All right,
Yes.
friends. See you next time. Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.